today I thought we'd look at something called Kingman's law and Kingman's formula, which is named after Sir John Frank Charles Kingman, who was one of Britain's most distinguished mathematicians, actually born in 1939, and he was studying at Cambridge in England, which is where ILSSI is actually based. And at 21 years old, he was looking at the relationship between the length of a queue and what parameters and variables affect the length of a queue, and he saw the relationship between the length of time that the activity was being taken to service the queue. So if you think about a queue being waiting for somebody providing you a service, like at a ticket desk, or it could be a queue at a machine where the machine is processing one unit at a time. How long does that processing time take? That's an obvious one. The longer the processing time, the more time there is for a queue to build up. That's one of the parameters. But then he also noticed that the utilization of the resource that is servicing the queue has a great part to play, and that as utilization approaches 100%, the queue length actually increases and the lead time, the waiting time, increases. And the third factor, parameter, variable that he discovered that affects the waiting time, the queue length, the lead time, is the variability in both the arrival time to the queue, so that is the demand side, how many people are arriving in the queue, how many units are arriving in the queue, and the variation in the processing time as well. So how long each activity is taking, how long the cycle time of the machine is. So this was very interesting, and this was proposed when he 1960. He was 21 years old then, and he came up with something called Kingman's formula, which in its simplest term is really just saying that the lead time or the queue length or the waiting time is in proportion to the processing time multiplied by the amount of variation multiplied by the amount of utilization. But there are some other constants in there, and so the formula will change depending on the particular situation. So you'd have to work out what the constants are that are in that formula. Now, basically, this applies to many industries. It applies to things like waiting times in waiting rooms in hospitals. It applies in retail settings, in supply chains, and in manufacturing, in airports, many different places.